Morgan Oriahi, how are you doing, my brother?
How's the audio?
Perfect.
It's not choppy or anything?
Not choppy. Your video's not choppy. I hate when video's choppy, though.
Oh, great, great. Doing great. Yourself, brother?
I'm good, thanks. I hope I got your name. I hope I got your last name right.
Oriahi?
Yes.
Yeah.
Beautiful. You know what?
Oh,
Because I'm always bad with names, and anytime I do like a
monster.
monster, nice man.
Getting ready.
Dude, I can't drink energy drinks anymore. It's just destroyed my stomach. I just can't do
I
it.
almost fell asleep driving. I never drink, never, but
No.
every once in a while.
They're like a lifesaver. I mean, like anytime, like I know, I remember I just had really hard training and like just driving home. I remember I just had a rough drive home, so I stopped on the
Boy,
way there, got a rain energy drink, and just shot it back like it was nothing. I was
those
good to
do it.
go. Those are
Funny
good too.
story. Last fight, I'm in the back. I got a rain energy drink in a bag. I pull it out. I take two sips. A commission guy snatches it out of my hand. I go, "What's wrong?" He goes, "That's a banned substance." I said, "What are you talking about?" He said, "Caffeine." I was like, "Whatever, man." 300 milligrams of caffeine is you can't take that before a fight, or at least
Yeah.
it's illegal to take that. Apparently,
Jeez. So you get any drops in there, or what's the deal?
I got some honey. Drank a little honey. Other than that, I went out there pretty cold.
That's good. That's good, man. For anyone that doesn't know, Morgan just had a first round KO over Michael Peterson at Fury 46, and I
Patterson,
thought Patterson. Sorry,
Mikey Patterson. There you
what
go.
do I keep saying? I keep saying I want to say Patterson or Peterson. Yeah, Patterson. Sorry. So with that fight, to my I think that Dana White was at that fight, was he not?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, did you get a chance to like talk with them or get a chance to go
Um,
backstage or
I didn't want to look like a groupie.
right?
There was like a whole lot of people chasing him and around him the whole time, either asking for autographs or
Yeah,
just trying to get a contract. So I don't want to be another one of them. If he's going to see me, he's going to see me. I mean, I ended up on Sports Center, so um, he might have saw that, but I'm only 3-1 right now, so I might not be on his mind to give a contract to. So I just kept to myself. Shit, if he wanted to autograph, he would have asked me.
right on, right on. I think Derek Lewis was there, was he not?
Oh yeah, got to shake his hand.
Oh yeah, I thought he would be because I mean, you know, he's a Houston guy, so I thought that he would have to be there.
He's pretty intimidating in size, like just naturally large. Like
Hmm.
I fought three of his teammates, and while the teammates walking into the cage, um, 4 ounce, they used to all come to the cage like 20 deep, 10 deep. So you would see in the middle Derek Lewis walking in, and you're like, oh, there you go. So it's like a little bit more intimidating seeing your partner walk down the aisle with Derek Lewis. But yeah, he's a cool guy though, man. He's real chill, real calm, collective.
Yeah, and that's what I hear a lot. Like, you know, even at the press conferences that he's done, Derek Lewis, like, yeah, when he's ready, when he does like the press where he's doing like the standoffs, like he looks mean, like he's ready to just knock your block off. But like when he's doing like when he's just talking stuff, he's having a good time. I mean, him and Cormier that one time they're having a good time. So I think you know he's a good guy all around. And but you know he sells fights, and I mean he steps up to the plate when he does. So
That's the Houston vibe. Like we're real
yeah,
chill, real relaxed. But when shit pops off, we're ready. So
you know you talk about Derek Lewis being so intimidating. But if you had to pick, and you had to fight either one of them, if you're the same size, same weight, everything, who would you pick? Either him or Francis Ngannou?
Ngannou, I can't find Ngannou. We're Nigerian. That's my brother.
A
Well, he's a Cameroonian, but
Cameroonian, yeah,
we're neighbors. So I can't find my neighbor.
fair
Could I
enough.
ask you a question? Should I look into the camera or should I look at
You
you?
You can look at me, you can look in the camera, whatever you want to do, man.
Okay,
I
cool.
do both. I get like caught up looking at myself because the camera comes back to me. So I get
Oi,
caught up looking at myself talking. So I look at the camera, I look at myself. You do you.
Like when you start talking, I start looking at you, but I feel like I've never done a podcast like this before, so it's pretty cool.
Well, I'm glad to hear it. I'm glad to have you on here, and I appreciate you taking your time to come on, man.
Thanks, buddy. You want to see
So,
the studio, man? Check it out, bro. It's got a bunch of paint buckets.
Oh, so you just started in the studio then?
Right there. Just put a primer on this wall. Put a primer on this back wall. Got it taped up. Got a bunch of room. I got a big room back there. Got another like 600 square foot
Nice.
storage room back there. That'll be a nice weight room. Got a little office. Can't wait to set that office up. Yeah, it's been 6 days since I rented this space out. I'm just getting prepped for inspection.
Nice. So like you talk about studio, like what kind of studio are we talking about?
This is more of like an MMA apparel type situation here, like a MMA apparel store, but I have plenty of mat space down to where I can teach classes a couple times a day.
Okay.
People can hit bags, listen to music, watch the fights. I'll have the fights on every time I can, and just kind of hang out. It's called White Tiger Kickboxing Academy. It'll be my first one. It's only about 2,000 square feet. So ultimately, I want about 4,000 to 5,000. But this is a good start. It's my first business I've opened, so I wanted to start small and move up. So that's kind of my angle now, opening up a MMA store in the southwest side of Houston. Because every time you think about MMA shops, you have to go a little deeper into the city or up into Cypress to get a good MMA shop. So having one on this side of town should be a good look for the guys over here.
Well, and you're talking about you're kind of opening up your own little gym there. That being said, I just saw you're doing some training with some other people. Do you just do like some do you do stuff on the side to like help just people that want to train or just want to get into shape, or what's the deal?
I do one-on-one sessions, just mainly boxing and kickboxing, little jiu-jitsu, just what I know, what I've learned over the last 11, 12 years. I train people out of my garage. I've trained people at other schools, but it's a little bit more lucrative to just kind of have your own thing going on. So just hanging out in the park, in the garage, moving around. I needed more space, actually. I really never initially thought that my training would pop off where I'd get more than 10 clients, but it happened, and now I want to keep them happy. I want to keep them comfy. So I got a bigger spot to train them at. About 3 or 4 times the space now. So we can grow here and then move on to the next spot, grow there, just so on and so forth. It's kind of a fun journey. It's been an interesting couple of years.
Fair enough, man. Well, it's good. I mean, so do you have any other bigger plans like for the future? Or, like, do you have any like dreams of yours, of, like what you want to do? Would you ever want to get a bigger gym, or do you have other things beyond your MMA career?
Oh, for sure, man. You don't want to get punched in the face forever.
Of course.
I'm 37 now, so I kind of want to focus on just my son, the business, other things. But fighting's in the blood. Everyone for the last 4 years kept on asking me, "You gonna fight again, man?" I'm like, "Yeah, maybe." I just kind of beat around the bush. I knew I'd hop back in there. I'm not trying to do it part time. No, I'm not trying to just have one foot in. I'm pretty serious about it, and it's one of those things where you're good at it. And as you drift away from it, you always come back to it. So why not go nuts? Why not see how far you can take it? Yeah, man, just kind of focusing on this right now.
Well, it's good, man. That's good
Business, to hear. Focus on the career. We'll see where we can take this. But yeah, the fallback would be just business ownership, not just MMA gyms. Like an MMA apparel shop, gym. Just a couple other ventures that I'm thinking about coming up. But this is just like my first dip into it. Just getting permits, getting the roof ready, painting, paying a contractor for anything, so there's quite a bit to do. So I'm learning. Right now is all about learning.
Fair enough.
And hopefully knocking more people out. Hopefully knocking out more guys out. That's fun. I'm excited because now I'm 3-1. So the fights are going to get tougher. It's just like Mortal Kombat. When you first stage, you fight someone, you fight like Johnny Cage, he's all right. Then you fight like Reptile. And next you're fighting Scorpion. and Goro. So as you get better, as your record climbs, there's some killer fights coming, and it's exciting because when you watch people like John Jones and Adesanya fight, you're excited to see their matchups. Like he's fighting Vittoria again. Their first fight was great. It's going to be another good fight. It's a really tough fight for Adesanya. So to watch that fight is exciting. So I would love to be one of those guys that other people watch and say, hey, I'm actually excited to see Morgan fight A, B, C, or D. That's something I'm looking forward to. Moving on into a higher ranking.
You brought up Street Fighter, so I'm assuming that's how you got your nickname.
So first couple of years sparring, I realized I was okay at this, mainly because of my length. So I'm keeping guys at distance. Yeah. And every single person I would spar, they wouldn't know Dalsim's name. His name's Dalsim. They don't know his name. So like, you remind me of that Yoga Flame guy. You remind me of that Yoga Flame guy in that video game, man. You're so long. You're so long. I would hear this 20 times a week. After a while, Yoga Flame just came off as a nickname. It just seemed like the right fit. Yeah. And it just stuck with me throughout the years. It's a real awkward nickname because, when people hear it, they're like, where'd you get that from? It's kind of weird. But a lot of guys, I don't know, how old are you, man?
I'm 26.
26? Okay, so you're 10 years younger than me. So a lot of guys growing up in my era, we were in Fiesta, bumping each other, trying to get a quarter inside the machine to play Street Fighter and shit. So that was huge growing up. Like the original Street Fighter, like that nostalgia, that video game nostalgia. Then afterwards, we beat the shit out of each other in our yards. So it's like, it's more of a nostalgia to the 90s and what brought us to this point. A lot of us grew up watching that stuff, fighting, all those good things. So when we get older and we're able to hop into the cage or the ring, it's kind of fun taking the form of Yoga Flame when I'm in the ring. It's that switch between reality and what's going on in the cage.
We're in two totally different lifetimes. Like in your upbringing, obviously, like that was, in terms of gaming, like that was the game to do. And like that was the game, like that was the gaming that you did. Whereas now you got the Call of Duty, and if you want to talk shit, you just do it over line. Whereas you talk shit in the arcade, you better step up. So
we're fighting outside of Fiesta right now. Like
yeah, and I don't know, like as much as I'm 26, but I never got into the Street Fighter stuff anyway. Like the stuff that they started releasing as through the years, like whether they throw it on like I don't know what the game systems would have been, but
you don't remember that. When I think Street Fighter, you remember Street Fighter 1.
Yeah, like the original.
When I'm talking Mortal Kombat, I'm talking about Mortal Kombat 2, where you could trip the dude. You could trip him the whole fight and he would just die from trips. Yeah. You trip him 10 times and he'd die. So it's just kind of like an old school nostalgia, I think. Kind of like anime. Like I'm a pretty big anime fan. I recently watched Dragon Ball Super, and just the demeanor, the quest for power, the quest for knowledge, and the ultimate adaptation. Whenever Goku realizes that knowledge, it relates to fighting, just like training to those 4 weeks or 8 weeks for the fight, getting to the fight, the weigh-in, going to the fight, the stress, like all that culminates into something amazing. So if you can kind of like make that transition when it comes to like something from your childhood to something now, I believe that it's a magical thing. You hear guys like Joe Rogan talk about entering dream states or entering a different subconscious.
That's called DMT, my brother.
Hey, anytime you want to go to South America, bro, we can do it.
No, thanks.
Entering a different state of consciousness. So whenever I hop in there, I do something particular in the cage that kind of brings the power into me. So regardless of if I want to fight that day or not, I'm in there. I'm Yoga Flame. This is what you do, at least for the next 15 to 25 minutes. You talking to all the fighters you talk to, probably one of the biggest issues people have is the mentality. Cutting weight, going to the hotel, driving to the arena, wrapping your hands in the back. Like when you're back there, all you smell is armpits and guys pooping 3 times because everyone's nervous. Guys are throwing up in the back. Everyone's eyes are extra big, staring at each other, you know?
Yeah.
So like emotion is huge. Like mental aptitude is huge when you're back there. And if you can get a hold of this, we're all training hard. We're all running up fucking mountains, kicking pads. We're all training hard. That's why I don't take any opponent lightly. You know, if someone tells you, oh, that guy's going to be an easy opponent. Well, the guy's throwing 1,000 punches a week, thinking about punching my face through a wall. So regardless if this is an easy fight, you're going to hop in there, and through all that mental prowess, you're going to have to perform, especially in front of all those people. It's a crazy sport. Very mentally draining.
Yeah, and I think like people don't realize like it's not just the training, it's not just the weight cutting, it's everything. It's a whole experience of just being able to just get to the fight. And I mean, you gotta think like just the last year and a half is just the COVID's just add to that stress. I think that mental stress, you know, like you just mentioned everything that you got to worry about, but now you throw COVID in there, you got to worry, oh shit, is my fight going to get thrown off? Then like,
oh yeah.
Like, I mean, we've heard about fights getting thrown off hours before the fight's supposed to happen. I mean, I'm trying to think, there was this other fight, I think it was in Bellator, and I think these 2 guys were supposed to fight, but the one guy had some kind of like, I don't know if it was his appendix or he had some like bowel stuff, but it was like literally 2 hours before the fight, and they had to call it off because of what a freak accident. And and I think it takes a strong mentality to be able to understand that I just did all that training, I did all that weight cutting, and I have nothing to show for it.
Exactly. Well, in Bellator, he probably got paid, or at least there's show money.
I think so.
2 hours before fighting in, I wouldn't say Fury is a lower organization. It's definitely on the climb right now.
Yeah,
and I think it's going to be on Bellator level or even higher in the future.
I think so too.
But, right now, like you're not going to get paid. Like there's no money there. You just wasted all the time. And not to mention you're buying the best water, you're buying the best food, you're buying the best trainers, you're buying everything you can to get ready for this fight because you want to win this fight, because the return is 1, your paycheck, 2, your record goes up. So you're really focusing. I'll spend $2,000 for a fight camp if it means I'm going to win. Yeah. It makes sense. And I'm not even getting paid $2,000 some of the time. So it's tough. It's taken. I have 4 pro fights, and it's taken that long to even get paid an amount to where you can pay some bills. You know, it's tough. It's tough for guys. So that on top of everything, I think that's the main focus right there. One, our fans. I say quote unquote because fans, they come in different shades. Everyone's a fan, even if they hate you or love you, because they're going to come see you to get your ass kicked, or they're going to see you come and win. And I love all that because it's just competition. It's all in fun and games. But I would say for the most part, when it comes to advancing our mental state, 2, making it easy for us, the fans have to understand their viewership helps so much. Just you watching this, just you coming to the arena on time, just you buying tickets promptly, you know, or not waiting to the last minute, supporting, liking, sharing, all that right there. It's so much. Just 1 like, 1 share from one of your fans is huge. You see guys, they have 2,000, 5,000 Instagram followers or whatever. If half of those people supported them as much as they say they support them, like when it just comes to likes, shares, and followers, this sport would be way bigger than it is right now.
100%.
Yeah, but I mean, it's huge, right? I'm looking at PFL; it's on CBS. So I mean, the sports getting pretty big right now. It's televised, but I'm talking more about the local scene. The guys in the PFL, I think they're making pretty much top end money right now. They have $1 million tournament in that one, don't they?
Yeah, I heard about that. That's crazy, hey?
No, I mean that's some motivation to train right there.
I don't think it's just motivation, but it's also it gets people interested. And I think that's why Bellator has done really good things too. I think they did something similar. I had to explain it to people and they're like, so I don't understand how could someone be a champion? So it's like, yeah. And it took me a while to explain it, but it's like, that's why Bellator and Bellator and PFL, they're really making that climb. I mean, Fury, they're making the climb because they're doing different things. And they're, with Bellator, I mean, it's exciting to see a group of some of the best in an organization being able to go through this tournament, go through all that blood and sweat. I mean, they're fighting probably 4 times a year, 5 times a year. And they're, and you never really know the outcome. I mean, you could have a champion. I mean, I think in the light heavyweight tournament right now in Bellator, I think it's the champ's Nemkov. And I mean, he could easily lose his belt and then someone gets the belt and they become champ. And then they go to the next round of the tournament, they lose the belt and then the other guy becomes champion. And then he gets to the top and then he gets beaten at the end. So it's crazy.
It's a little bit more exciting in my opinion.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that's why I'm sorry. Strikeforce was huge for me. I love those tournaments.
Glory, I mean, I think UFC
last man standing is huge. I think that's where UFC needs to go if they want to progress, in my opinion. Start doing tournament style.
I think that would be interesting to really see what they could do with that, but I don't think it's going to happen. But it would be interesting to see what
there's too many superstars, right?
I think they need to get your boy Charlie on there.
No, like I want to see him do some spinning shit. Like, not to give away his game plan or nothing, but like I can't wait to see Charlie fight because he's a hard worker, dude, the killer, man.
I think he did really well against Kevin Holland, though.
Well, he made Kevin have to wrestle, where he's primarily a striker.
Yeah,
I've sparred Charlie quite a few times, and when you start striking with some, there's a lot of questions. You have to answer a lot of questions, and there's a lot of reads. So him going right to wrestling or right for the close game, it's pretty obvious why he did that.
And I didn't like the way
it was a really good fight for Kevin as well. He knew that Charlie took like 3 days notice. So of course he was going to rush in like that and try to go for the quick finish.
Yeah. And then unfortunately the way it kind of ended, I mean, nobody, like, that was scary. I remember watching that. I never, like, at first I didn't see what was going on. I saw him drop him, but I couldn't see exactly where he was dropping him. And then as they show him dropping him on his neck, I was like, fuck, is the guy okay? And
honestly, I attribute that to a reverse weight cut. He was having to pack on pounds to get to 85, or it would have looked bad. If he walked in there on set at 78 and Holland's 85, it would have looked bad. So he was drinking lots of water. He had clothes on when he stood on the scale, things like that. So just like you can lose weight, lose water, and your brain gets affected, well, now you're doing it in reverse. It's like you're eating a bunch of cheeseburgers and stuffing yourself before a fight and then losing all that again. Like you basically just did a reverse weight cut. Your body's not going to work the same way it works. And that might have been the first time Charlie did that. So, and of course, Kevin Holland landing on your neck probably doesn't help. But
yeah.
But overall, I think just the mental fortitude of taking a fight 3 days notice. It's a UFC. It's your first fight on a big show. And it's at a weight class you've never been at. It's a scary thing. I've weighed up to 200 pounds. I definitely couldn't fight at 85 because now I walk around probably 81 or 82. But I've been pretty big myself, and you feel bloated. You feel really bloated when you're out of your weight class. So I see why a lot of those bigger guys stay where they're at.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. No, I do want to go back to what I wanted to ask you previously. So, you're 3-1, and obviously, your Fury FC is where you're at the moment, but maybe getting a couple wins down the road. Do you think that opens up the possibility of looking at the Contender Series?
One more win, and I want to fight for the 170-pound UFC championship.
There you
Dana,
go.
where you at? I'm kidding, but yeah, definitely would love to hop in a Contender Series. Look, I don't care. I'm 37 years old. I think I'm a little smarter. I think I've taken my time, and I think I train quite a bit. I stay consistent with this sport, and I'm smart enough to win my fights. So I'm not trying to waste time just fighting. I'm trying to get that money. I'm trying to get to the pot. I'm trying to get to the end of the rainbow. Okay. I'm trying to get my work in. I'm trying to get a title shot. I'm trying to get to Bellator. I'm trying to get to Contender Series. I'm trying to get as far as I can as fast as possible. I'm not necessarily trying to jump the line, because anyone that wants to claim that I'm jumping the line can hop in front of me and I knock your ass out. Excuse my French. But
Yeah.
I'm ready, bro. I'm
You,
opening up this gym so I have a place for me to train like consistently. You know what I'm saying? I can sleep in my back room. I can wake up, get my sessions in. I can drive out to War Training Center from here. It's right by the freeway. It's perfectly accessible. I've set my life up in congruence to winning a title. I've won an amateur title. I've won a couple of gold medals at the Houston Open, at Purple and Brown. I've done some fun things at Submission Hunter Pro. In jiu-jitsu, I would love to win a professional MMA title. That would be like the cherry on top of the cake, whether it's a Fury title against Nikolai, who just won recently, but I think he's going to the Contender Series. But I would love to fight for a title as soon as possible. I'm not trying to just I'm not just fighting to fight. I have a specific plan and focus. After this next win, if it's not for a title or if it's not for something serious, I'm not taking the fight. I'm ready to move on to the next phase of my career, and I'm willing to put in the work to get there.
Do you believe that age is actually a thing in MMA, or do you think that cutting weight and that all those things are actually affecting your longevity, not so much your age?
I have a philosophy on that. You could be old in MMA and still be young. Make sense?
Oh, absolutely.
Just say you started when you're 15 and or throughout your childhood, you've been doing karate tournaments and kickboxing tournaments, and you've been doing jiu-jitsu and wrestling, and your dad or mom has you in this sport consistently. By the time you're 21, you have 3 or 4 fights. By the time you're 24, you have maybe 10 pro fights. By the time you're 27, you've been knocked out 4 or 5 times. You know what I'm saying? So you're 27 and I'm 37, and I've only been TKO'd once and I wasn't knocked out cold. I've been hit hard before, but I took time off after I was hit hard. I did the right thing. I took care of my brain. So there's a lot of guys who, over the 4 years I took a break, when I took a break for 4 years, I would watch guys on the scene deteriorate. Young guys that are 25, 26, 27, and they'll take a loss. They'll take 2 or 3 losses and jump right back in there because they're chasing that win. I don't want to be that guy who's losing and chasing wins. I want to be a guy who's strategically taking his fights, good fights, title fights, possibly Contender Series fights against guys who have names, fights against guys I can make a name off of, not just any old bum. These last 2 fights against Derek Ajede and Mikey Patterson, it was actually perfect. I was 1-0. I was 1-1. I'm 37. I fought a guy who was okay. The guy, he was 3-10. He was 3-9 at the time. Now he's 3-10. Something like that. And that's a lot of fights for somebody, regardless if they win or lose, against a guy who only has 2 pro fights. So these last 2 opponents were real good tune-up fights. I mean, you hear about those all the time. Let's see how he's doing. Let's see if he's old. Let's see if he's done anything over this last 4 years. Let's see if he got better. Let's see if he got worse. All right. And I think they saw, this guy's still young. This guy is still moving around real well. This guy actually looks better than he did 4 years ago. So that's really important. I took 4 years off and I stayed young for 4 years while these guys got older, and I just got better. So now I got 2 fights. I got 4 fights, 4 pro fights in there. I got to get a couple more in on my belt, and I want them to matter.
Yeah, that's a really interesting point you really bring up. And I think there's a lot of truth to your health and age in MMA, because if you look at guys like I remember watching the first time I saw him fight in UFC, and I think he was 37, 38. So he's got to be in his 40s now, still fighting the UFC, still hanging in there, still whooping ass. Francisco Trinaldo. He's from Brazil. The guy's still hanging in there with guys. I mean, went in there with a killer like Alexander Hernandez, still hung in there. Yoel Romero, 42 years old, was fighting for a title. And arguably, I think he might have won the first fight with a guy from New Zealand. So, or Australia, sorry. So, it's interesting how people look at a guy and say, oh, the guy's old, he's done. It's Not really. I mean, you got a lot of guys that retire young because they can't take the hit anymore, and it
Mm-hmm.
happens. It
Yeah, I
does.
mean, you're getting hit at 18, 19. Like I wasn't getting hit. I mean, I was fighting in parks. We're having little after school fights at 17 or 18. Other than that, I've never taken concussive damage until I was in my 30s. So I started training MMA when I was 25. I actually was a World of Warcraft nerd. All I would do was play World of Warcraft before. I was going to school for graphic design. I went to Sam Houston State University, and I was an art major for 2 years there. And before I was at HCC doing my prereqs. And for about 4 or 5 years there, all I did was play World of Warcraft. I sat on my butt and got fat. All I wanted to do was get in shape. Fast forward 3, 4 years into training, I'm walking down a ramp at the arena towers on the same card as Sage Northcutt. So it's crazy how MMA becomes your life real quickly when you get into it. But when you get into it, I think that's when the age starts. Rather, if I started at 30, I could still train to 35 and I could still perform well at 36, 37, 38.
Mm-hmm.
I could still put in 5, 6 years of training, good training at a good place, because nowadays it's 2021, right? Like 10, 15 years ago, you wouldn't have the type of training we have now. But pretty much around every corner, you can get a decent instructor. You know what I'm saying? You can get someone who can teach you how to kick and punch, or a couple of jiu-jitsu moves at any Gracie Baja, because there's a Gracie Baja at every freaking stoplight at this point.
You know, I gotta say though, you gotta be careful with a lot of those. And I'm not saying this to you, I'm just saying for viewers, you gotta really be careful who you learn and train from, because you got some people that come out with this shit like, oh, take the knife out of someone's hand, or you move this way and you can like block the way. You gotta watch these videos. They're
Krav
fucking
Maga, bite his fingers off.
Well, there's some of these videos, these guys are like, all you have to do is you just have to move the way and you just push them out of the way. And it's like, what kind of fucking training is that? I'm sorry, if someone pulls a knife on me, I'm not.
Though.
If someone pulls a
And
knife
that's
on me,
something good about
I'm not doing.
Gracie Baja being on every corner. It makes it more commercial. You can walk into a Gracie Baja. I think there's like 4 in the area right over here.
Oh,
and they can teach you more than any of these Taekwondo or Kung Fu Wan or Aikido or Krav Maga schools could teach you. When it comes to kickboxing, jiu-jitsu, MMA, like up and down. Like these places don't not only have great jiu-jitsu instructors at black belt level, but they have kickboxers with like kickboxing fights and records. So some of them, you know, there's some guys who haven't fought before who are great instructors. You know, you don't have to. I think Greg Jackson proved it a long time ago. You don't have to 100%. Be a fighter to be a great instructor. Not all fighters are great instructors. You know, like I might be the worst instructor in the world. I just haven't realized it yet. Who knows? But
and that's the thing.
What I bring is experience. So that's, you know.
And I think it's a good thing to realize, because you can be the greatest fighter in the world. How I did compare it. So I live in Canada. So Canada hockey is like NFL to the Americans. So how I compare it is, you can be the Wayne Gretzky of hockey, but the guy couldn't coach. The guy just couldn't apply what he wanted the guys to do. Like his expectations of how to play, he couldn't apply to coaching. Whereas you got fighters who might want to coach, and they could be one of the best fighters in the world. They could be killers, but they just can't apply what they want to their fighters. Whereas you have a lot of guys that are just, the strength is all in the mind. They know the game plan. They understand how to win a fight. But they can't apply it themselves sometimes. And it's vice versa. And that's the beauty about these MMA gyms, is that, you know, you got some guys that you think, well, he's like, he's brought a champ. This guy has a bunch of champions, but I've never seen a fight. It's like, but he doesn't have to fight. He just has to know how to win. And that's what coaches do to help.
Really, and know how to just guide people. Like, really, 2 people, Richard Adam Copley and Jamie Mahone at War Training Center. Yeah. They're 2 particulars. They both fought, of course. They both competed at a high level in grappling and MMA. But their minds. They're not only good coaches when it comes to the techniques, but in the group chat, they're motivating us. They know when to tell us to come to train. I've never had people push me so much to do specific things in camp that I didn't want to do, like running and hopping back. I had a hard weight cut. So for the Ajede fight, I was really light. So I decided, and he picked me up rather easy and slammed me really easily. Mind you, Ajede is strong. He's a wrestling base. He has a wrestling base, and that's his thing. He likes to suplex people. But I felt like light as paper that fight. So I decided to put 5 to 7 pounds on for that fight, which made my weight cut substantially harder. So I texted the guys at about 4 a.m. when I was in the hotel trying to lose the last 3 or 4 pounds. And within an hour, I had Copley, I had Josh Altuum, I had Jeremy Mahone all around me, getting my ass into a sauna, not letting me get out of it, putting my ass inside the bathroom with the steam going on. I'm banging the door trying to get out. They're not opening the door. So, they weren't going to let me die or nothing. I don't want, it's 2021. You know how people are these days. But they really pushed me to do more than I could, which I wasn't necessarily used to that. I wasn't too used to people. Really, through my amateur career, I took a lot of control of my own training. I trained here and there, but for the most part, most of my training was me shadowboxing at 24-hour fitness. I got great training in with David Kelly. God bless his soul. He gave me a couple months of good pad work. I was able to train at the dark side, do a little jiu-jitsu with Victor Poses. And I originally was training with Macaco Gold Team. Charles Oliveira helped me a little bit with my triangle. Early on, Macaco gave me my blue belt, but after training with those guys, I had to learn how to apply everything they taught me while I trained myself. So I felt like I was kind of a hard hit during my amateur career because, of course, I had people cornering me, but I was just fighting for myself. And it's interesting, it's like that dream state I was talking about. It's like finding that balance between what you're going to do and what you need to do and what your coach wants to do and bringing them together unilaterally. But sometimes you can just drift off into your own mind and just things go perfect. Like you've been thinking about this fight for days and days and days. And while you're fighting, you're like, wow, this is just how I thought about it. This is exactly how I dreamed about it. This is exactly what's happening right now. And then while I'm moving this way and faking that one move and throwing the flying knee, I'm like, am I really in the air hitting this guy with the flying knee right now? Did I just land that? Did I just think about this for 3 weeks and land it? That is amazing. That is an amazing culmination of success. And that only comes from guys like Adam Copley and Jeremy Mahone. Game planning. I've never had coaches game plan like that, put it together. It's fucking amazing. It's really amazing what just the brain can do when focused on one thing. So it's beautiful. It's a wonderful becoming a student again, where I'm also a coach to a few people, but going back to becoming a student has enhanced my ability to coach as well. It's amazing. It really is.
When you have a good coach when they push you, because if a coach wasn't giving a shit and they just wanted your money, they're not going to put, like, I'm not to say, I mean, some coaches are different than others, but when you have a coach that pushes you, they're showing that because they want the best out of you. They want to drive you. They want to make you a better MMA fighter than you were yesterday.
Yeah. I mean, they know what you're good at and what you're bad at. They watch in class. Dude, Copley takes notes. He'll literally send me a freaking 2 paragraphs out of nowhere at like 9 p.m. He's like, I was just thinking about you. I'm like, really? He was like, yeah, I was watching you spar today, A, B, C, D, F, G. I've never had people do that. It's insane. And the night that I beat Ajede, he had already sent me all of Mikey Patterson's video footage. He had already sent me the game plan, and he already sent me expectations, what I did wrong in the Ajede fight and what I did in the Ajede fight. He sent me everything I needed to. It's like he had it saved. He just popped it in there, sent it to me, and we were ready for the next fight the night I won that fight. So it's very interesting, and I'm only learning, and it's a beautiful thing. Just taking a step back and not being my own driver, not being my own pilot, and letting someone drive me. Like that second round against Ajede was all Copley. He might as well have grabbed a controller and just did A, B, B, D, C, and it just happened. It's amazing. It's really cool when all those years of training martial arts comes together with you and a coach adapting a plan. It's really cool. Like it's almost like a video game, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes, it's surreal for sure. Now, I'm sorry, but I only have a little bit of time left here, so I will ask you one more question. So, looking at 2021, we're on the brink of June of 2021. So, looking at the end of the year, how many more fights would you like to have?
At least two more fights. But if we get on a tear, I'll take three. Got to make sure I take care of myself and be smart. You can't just keep taking fights. I took two back to back, 2 months in a row. So I'm not saying I got injured like that, but I'm mentally drained opening up this place, putting all that work in, and still trying to maintain and train my students at the same time. A couple things are dinged up, and my body's a little worn down from training so much. So
Mm-hmm.
I didn't take the next fight for June 20. I was going to fight 3 months in a row and just kind of show off, but that's not a good idea. So just taking about 2 months off. We're going to get back at it in the fall. We're going to win one more fight. That's my last fight on the Fury contract. And then we're going to push for a title shot, a contender shot. I'll be 4-1 by then. I know it seems a little early, but I got the experience, and I can definitely perform in there when needed. So we're going to push for a tougher fight after that, whether it's with another organization or if it's with Fury, for me pushing for a title shot. I think Nikolai is going to get pushed to a upper organization, a contender series shot. I don't think he's going to defend the title. So if he doesn't defend the title, I would like to fight Anthony Ivy on the next Fury card if possible. I think that's a really good matchup, or at least after I get my next win. That'd be a good fight for the title, just to unify the title again. He can go ahead and try to get his belt back, and I can go ahead and win that belt.
And what you got to say about Anthony?
Anthony, no, he's really cool people. I haven't talked to him too much. I know he's Nigerian as well, so he's my countryman. But I've been watching you.
Well, Morgan, it's been a pleasure having you on here. It's been a pleasure listening to you, having a lot of your philosophy on a lot of subjects in terms of MMA. So again, when you have another fight booked, let's get you back on here, brother.
Let's do it. We'll talk about the fight. I'll talk some shit. Can I do one shout out though?
You may.
Big shout out to Sammy Magonia at Sammy's Muay Thai. You guys know who that is. Make some time to go visit this man. He's a sensational Muay Thai coach, if not the best Muay Thai coach in Texas. Congratulations to Charles Oliveira. Congratulations to Jorge Macaco Patino. Even though Macaco told me I would never be a fighter, I still got love for him. Cheers to David Kelly. I love you, brother. Cheers to all the positive influences that I've met on this journey.
Well, thanks again, Morgan, and we'll talk again soon, man.
Luke Kelly, it was a pleasure, brother. Thank you for having me on, brother.